Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of HP Critical, a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming. I am Drell, and I am joined by Kelly.
Hi, everybody.
And the brand man himself, Brandon.
What's up?
And we have a ton of stuff to get through today, so if you guys are okay with it, I think I'll just go ahead and get started.
Rolling start!
I know that I said that I was going to have a guest on today, but I actually canceled that just because I felt like we were talking about some crazy serious stuff, along with some, fun things for the week. And just because of that, I decided I'll just go ahead and have the regular crew here for today, if that's okay with you guys. I hope so. I mean, it doesn't matter because it
doesn't matter. It's already happening. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that doesn't.
No, I veto this, Jarrell. Where's our guest? Damn it!
And
call Grayson right now.
And it's actually been a really great year for HP Critical podcast. So Kelly was wonderful enough to remind me of a video from a year ago that was posted. So it's crazy how time flies and how I'm so lucky to come back with you guys every week. And speaking of, the past times and things that have happened, you know what? No. Instead, I think I'm going to go straight into some of the more serious things that have happened this week. And we're going to start with the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I wanted to discuss some of the reactions in the video game community and how some of the video game developers and companies have responded, because I thought it was pretty important to understand and recognize how some of these companies are handling the situation. And there's an article over at thegamer.com written by Rhiannon Bevan titled "The Supreme Court Can Go F Itself, How the Game Industry is Responding to Roe v. Wade." And instead of reading all of this to you, I will point out some of the companies that were mentioned here, which include Bethesda, where they have a tweet that says, "We believe the ability to make choices about one's body and lifestyle is a human right." Hours later, Xbox echoed this sentiment, stating, "At Xbox, we remain committed to our employees to ensure equal access to healthcare. Our U.S. health plans cover lawful medical services like abortion and gender-affirming care, and we recently extended our travel benefits to include travel expense support assistance for covered medical services." We also have another one from Bungie. Bungie said that we're committed to ensuring that every one of our employees and their families have safe and affordable access to essential healthcare needs. We will now be implementing a travel reimbursement program for any employee to use when they or a dependent cannot get access to the healthcare they need where they live. We remain undeterred in our commitment to stand up for reproductive choice and liberty. There's also some from The Sims, because everybody loves The Sims. Or actually, I'm talking on the wrong podcast because nobody plays The Sims except for me here, apparently. And they said, "We understand today is hard. As a first step, we want to connect you, our community, to a few resources that can help support you at this time. For those of you who play The Sims, the game has always been about being who you want to be, loving who you want to love, and creating the life you want to live. Our game is a reflection of our unwavering belief that everyone has a right to choose how they want to live their life without judgment, including the right to bodily autonomy. As a first step, we want to connect you, our community, to a few resources that can help you support at this time." And then they have more on their Twitter account. While Sony hasn't issued its own statement at the time of this writing, it has commented on the matter through PlayStation's various subsidiaries. The media giant was also quick to confirm to a journalist that it would also be covering travel costs for workers who seek an abortion. Team Meat, developer of Super Meat Boy, also commented, simply stating the Supreme Court can go fuck itself. The team followed up with, "This isn't about life at all. People with uteruses are going to die getting unsafe illegal procedures." Fellow indie developer Certain Affinity also shared that it would be helping its workers relocate if abortion bans in their area are making living there untenable. Respawn said, "Our support is unwavering for our people. We are committed to expanding our beliefs for U.S. employees and their eligible dependents. Our aim is to provide the care, support, and services for the health and well-being of our people." There are a bunch of other studios that have made it clear that they support abortion rights, including Niantic, Ubisoft, EA, Respawn, Devolver Digital, Bethesda, Innersloth, and I Am 8-Bit. Among the biggest studios to remain silent are, as of the time of this writing, Nintendo, Sega, Gearbox, and Activision Blizzard, the latter of which is hardly surprising given the fact that CEO Bobby Kotick recently donated thousands to an anti-abortion Republican. That is the end of that article by Rhiannon Bevan, and if it was if you'd like to see HPCritical stance, please head to our Twitter or Instagram, where we also have some resources that we would like to share for anyone who might be interested, who might be in need. Our Monday mission recently was to just go and educate yourself and provide any resources for anyone that you also might know. So feel free to do that on our Twitter account. So that's kind of the good. There was a very interesting situation that I do want to talk to you guys about, though, which was Wizards of the Coast has, I don't know if I've spoken about this before, but they've been trying to leave Hasbro. They've been trying to separate themselves and have their own company, and Hasbro has pretty much been like, no, you can't leave because you're making us a lot of money, so you gotta stay here. And recently they put out a tweet that I'm going to read for you guys, and it says, "We, as employees of Wizards of the Coast, are frustrated, disappointed, and completely dissatisfied with Hasbro's out-of-touch, tone-deaf, and lackluster response to Friday's Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Excuse me. This decision, that healthcare for marginalized individuals is a privilege based on location and means, violates basic human rights. At a bare minimum, any ethical organization should be offering healthcare, travel benefits, support, and a clear message of solidarity. Any messaging that suggests or implies that there are other valid opinions and approaches to this further marginalization of already at-risk groups on their bodily autonomy is unnecessary, invalid, and damaging. Such messaging only seeks to protect and validate those that seek to control, and is the wrong direction for any organization with as diverse a customer base as ours. On Wednesday, June 29th, all employees are encouraged to take a day to reflect, nurture mental health, and show solidarity that Hasbro will not. Decisions like this cause suffering, and it's this that we ask on the same day Hasbro leadership to reflect on. Particularly how messaging like this violates and stands in the face of a diverse and inclusive workforce and creates yet another burden for already marginalized people." And there's more, which you can go check out on the Wizards Justice Twitter account. And the reason I brought this one up is because I think that this is probably, at least for me, one of the most direct and succinct tweets from a subsidiary of a company about how they actually feel. They straight up say that all companies should be doing what I just mentioned all the other companies were doing, which is providing healthcare, providing free travel to allow for healthcare. And they also are straight to the point in saying that, anyone who agrees with this, we don't agree with you. This isn't an opinion. This is an issue, which a lot of stories in a lot of places have actually backed down from. For various reasons. I'm not here to judge anybody's company. Y'all do what y'all will, how you will. But this is probably one of the first companies that I've personally seen that is just like, this is how we stand. We don't agree with Hasbro. Anyone who does agree with them, you guys are wrong. Like, this isn't a back and forth. You're incorrect. And all these companies are essentially doing the bare minimum, as they should. And so I just wanted you guys' thoughts on how you feel about their approach to this.
Their approach specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely a lot more straightforward, in your face as far as how they feel about this, whereas the other companies are just like, just trying to show some support, some basic solidarity. But this is like, going directly, letting them know exactly how they feel. There's no two sides about it to them. You know exactly how they feel. And honestly, I do respect it. I do respect it because I know a lot of companies won't go as far for various reasons, both corporate and otherwise. So for them to feel like they can, the fact that they feel comfortable enough to the messages. I mean, this is not something that like a lot of people are necessarily feel comfortable talking about, but I think it's still something that needs to be said regardless. So whether you feel you should or not, I'm glad they felt that they could.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think their approach was good. Obviously, they need to stand up for what they believe. I would say calling out your parent company is probably a hard thing to do. But I guess I'm glad glad they did it. I don't exactly know what Hasbro's like response was to the overturning. I haven't looked at that, but I'm very curious. And like,
I mean, it clearly wasn't enough.
No, I don't know. I don't know. We're living in really weird times. I'm not really sure how to put my thoughts into words on it. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that a lot of companies in the gaming industry are saying something, and they're not just being like, you know, well, we're just making video games. I'm glad that they're saying something, just because I don't know. I guess the more we talk about it, the more like people get educated and realize like what's really going on.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what to do. I mean, it just feels very like hopeless, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they're saying something and being so direct, I think was a good decision on their part. Unless they're going to get like laid off by Hasbro now, but I hope not.
You know, I think it's so important also that they did this specifically because just in my own circle personally, like I have met some of the people that work on Dungeons and Dragons, for example, that work at Wizards of the Coast. A lot of them are LGBTQIA plus members, right? Like a lot of them are not straight, which is great. Not that there's anything wrong with being straight. Scratch what I said. Let me try that again. A lot of the members are LGBTQIA plus that work at Wizards of the Coast, and it is indicative and reflective of some of the content that they put out. You know, when I was able to meet them, one of the first things I said was, you know, thank you guys for the art direction and the player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, because it's the first time that you see a video game like, or excuse me, a tabletop role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons that has a diverse set of artwork. Like, I would show you guys, but I'm not getting up. But you can just go in and just look at, you know, the fighter in that book is a black human female, which like is a subversion of what you might assume, right? Like the artwork is very diverse and indicative of the type of games that this TTRPG community wants to make. And when you're catering to, you know, they've done something recently that a lot of people feel different ways about, but previously the way that it worked was kind of just you would pick a race, and that race would have skill sets and abilities tied to it. And one of the things that they wanted to do was say, hey, you know, it's not really cool to have like the dark elves be the bad ones, because obviously racism. You know, it's not really cool to have the orcs just be the big scary bad guys, because someone might want to play one that's, you know, not necessarily in a negative light, etc. And so they've gone and they've changed the way that that works to allow people to create whatever they want and not be stuck by a set of skills, right? So like when they're doing things like this in their community to try to make it more inclusive, to try to make it better for everyone, like you know, Hero Forge allows you to make minis of your character. Being able to make a mini of your character in a wheelchair, like they've added a bunch of accessible different like things for you to play this game however you want. It only makes sense that the people that are working on this, that believe in things like allowing you to have a wheelchair in a fantasy world, like even thinking about that, would have a certain stance on the situation. And it has to be frustrating, because when you're trying to appeal to a specific demographic that is purchasing your content, and you're trying to show them, hey, we agree with you, we're with you, we believe in you, and we are a part of you, but your parent company is like not on the same page, that can obviously, for anyone who's not in the know, turn off some of your potential consumers. And so that's why I think this is such a big deal for them, specifically because they represent such a group of people, or at least they're trying to represent a specific group of people and trying to be inclusive. So if you're trying that hard, it's very hard to not be supported in that sense. And speaking of tryhards, Kyle Rittenhouse has announced his new video game to shoot fake news because why not? Proceeds from the game will go to the acquitted shooter's legal defense against the fake news, according to its website. This lovely one is from the Huffington Post, written by David Moye. Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot and killed 2 unarmed men during a 2020 racial justice protest, is releasing a video game that allows players to shoot turkeys, symbolizing the media. Rittenhouse was acquitted of homicide for the Kenosha, Wisconsin shootings and has become a celebrated figure in right-wing media. I said white wing. Whoopsie. Right-wing media. My bad. His new game, announced last Thursday amid a push for gun legislation in the wake of mass shootings, features fake news turkeys that are labeled fake news and MSDNC. In a promotional video posted on Twitter, Rittenhouse claims the media is nothing but a bunch of turkeys with nothing better to do than push their lying agenda and destroy innocent people's lives. He's collaborating on the game with Mint Studios, whose CEO Mint Chip told the Washington Examiner that the company had to step in to help Kyle after we saw what was done to him. The game website says some funds will go to legal defense against the fake news. There's going to be some media accountability coming soon, Rittenhouse told Fox News last December, although he has not said who he plans to sue. It's fake news turkey shoot. Got a laser gun going pew pew pew. Follow my suits. We about to bankrupt the fake news. That's the rap that was included in the promotional video for his video game.
There's a rap too.
Yeah, there's a rap. I am not sharing it because I don't want to share any more of his information. However, yeah, he's making a video game where you can go shoot the fake news turkeys. God, I hope it gets review bombed. Yeah, anybody have anything to say on that one?
I mean, I don't think it's gonna need to get review bombed. Like, I think that it's just going to warrant horrible negative reviews because it's going to be so terrible. I mean, I can't even imagine a game. Like, can you imagine if, like, O.J. Simpson came out with a game and it was like, oh, watch me, like, well, I mean, well, they both got acquitted, so I'm going to use the example. Yeah, I mean, you, like, I don't know. Can you, like, imagine if he did that and he was like, yeah, I'm going to shoot I don't know, I want to say, like, maybe the police because they chased him in the Bronco. Like, I don't know, just be such a slap in the face to,
he has that book.
He has that book where If I Did It, yeah.
Which was already, like, a bad news bears.
Well, I mean, so I guess it's like another person capitalizing off something they did wrong that they got away with. And then blaming the media. Sorry, did the media put the gun in your hand? Did the media put a knife in your hand?
None of the above.
Did they put the glove on? No.
None of the above.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to need to get review bombed, though. I will say that again.
Literally, I was just like, the audacity, like the gall of you to make a video game where you're shooting turkeys and calling it fake news after you clearly did something bad. Like, it's not like you didn't do it. Like,
listen. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, the only thing is that he didn't, like, come up with this idea. Somebody looked to capitalize on this. And there are going to be people that proclaim his innocence that are going to buy this game to support him. Yeah. To support his legal fund. Like, I don't know. Like, somebody thought in their mind, like, people were murdered. I'm gonna make money. Like,
you shot and killed, like, you shot and killed 2 people, and then this video game company's like, you know what? We'll help you out because the media is just treating you so badly, even though you shot and killed 2 people. But it's okay. We're gonna help you make this game because you were treated so poorly. Like, what about the people you shot and killed? But, you know, who am I?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz is also on our docket for today. The lovely Ted Cruz. He claims to be the world's most annoying type of gamer, and he weighed in on loot boxes recently. This is from Vice, written by Gita Jackson. Senator Cruz, gamer and fan of Ready Player One. Who fucking knew? Also, it's so crazy because when I read this one, I was like, wow, who cares? Like, I can't believe that someone cared enough to ask him, because now I hate that he likes Ready Player One because I like Ready Player One. Anyway, a concerned gamer wrote into Senator Ted Cruz's podcast to ask how he feels about loot boxes. Yes, Ted Cruz has a podcast where he talks about loot boxes. We as a society have consequently learned so much more about how Cruz feels about gaming than we ever wanted to know. These are not my words, this is directly from the article. If you don't immediately associate Cruz with video games, you are forgiven. Normally when one talks about the man, they're talking about the state of gun rights laws in his state of Texas, or abortion access, or the many times in which he has publicly been embarrassed. I'm sorry. According to an email read on Cruz's podcast seeking comment from the failed presidential candidate, the internet user Asmongold wanted to know what the senator's stance on loot boxes was, and we now know. If you want to know the actual answer to the question, it is this. Like a good libertarian, Cruz is concerned about scenarios where children are put in harm's way, like being encouraged to gamble, but doesn't believe the government should be involved. When it comes to his personal use, though, apparently Senator Cruz does in fact pay to win regularly in video games that he claims to play. And here's a quote from it. He says, "Now I'm something of a gamer. I'm not a gamer like hardcore Twitch streamers, and I don't do the massive multiplayer games." Cruz said, "I'll tell you, I don't like it when you can buy in-game items and sort of make your character stronger or get advantages. Now, I'll confess that when I play some games, I'll sometimes buy it because it's more fun in some way. Your character has a lot more great stuff that would take you 6 months or a year to build up." I love the irony in that, like, you shouldn't do this. This isn't fair. But, like, I'm totally gonna do it because, like, I don't have time to do this. I have to go embarrass myself more in the media. But it's just totally not fair. Yeah, I had to share this. I read this, I saw this, and I was like, I feel like I have the need to share this with the listeners of HP Critical. The hypocrisy there. Yeah, any comments on Senator Ted Cruz?
I feel like now that Ted Cruz has labeled himself as a gamer, I have to find another hobby. Like,
right?
Right. I can't. I'm like literally disgusted. Like thinking of playing a video game right now, I'm just like about to puke. I don't even want to. This is my last time on the podcast. I have found a new hobby. It's knitting. I have nothing to offer anymore. Hell
yeah, HP knitting.
HP knitting. Come to Twitch and watch Kelly knit and not talk about video games at all.
I don't even like that he knows what Twitch is. It's disgusting. Right? I don't know. I guess
he knows what Twitch is with all its problems.
Fair point.
Maybe he'll watch this. We hate you. Please die.
Oh man, Jarrell did not get that reference. Damn it.
Oh wait! Oh,
that's right, because he's Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, he's Scott Pilgrim. This next song is called.
I have the game on Switch.
That doesn't count, but
we should still play it. It's
a good reference, though. I'm Crash. These are the boys. Is that girl a boy too? Anyways, oh god, it's such a good movie.
Okay.
Sorry.
The unexplained things going in my head right now about all the quotes that you're saying from this movie just makes me very concerned about this movie.
It's very good. Anyways, it's very Canadian. Anywho, Ted Cruz sucks, and I love that they were like the failed presidential candidate. Like,
it was such a great article.
Yeah, it really was. I don't care. Like, I'm glad we brought this up, and it was by Vice, but like, I didn't need to know this. So, Jarrell, why?
Because I read it and I was like, well, if I know, everyone has to know. And now we all have to stop buying loot boxes. We cannot be like Ted Cruz.
I have not bought a loot box since the launch of Battlefront 2.
No more pay to win.
And I did it once and I felt disgusting and I didn't do it again.
As you should. No more pay to win for any of us. Ted Cruz does it.
Yeah, I don't ever buy shit in game. Like, I guard my money like a dragon.
You know,
I see what you did there.
It's so hard to believe anything Kelly's saying right now.
Hey.
What?
Because you've literally come on this podcast and talked about how you purchased in-game bullshit that you didn't need on multiple occasions. Because it was cute.
Not loot boxes.
Fine. Not loot boxes? Fine, you might have gotten me there.
But yeah, I have made... Literally, I've bought like 2 outfits. Like, anyways. Okay, I'm a hypocrite, fine.
I love the progression.
But no loot boxes. And that was also like years ago. When I used to play Defiance.
Well, something else that you might not have known, since I'm just throwing out all these things you might not know. Apparently, Sonic 3 has, Sega officially uses Michael Jackson's music in Sonic 3. Yeah, he apparently made some music for Sonic 3.
Yeah, that's, boy. So this is
Kelly's face. I'm just giving her so many like unnecessary stories today. And
I got some.
Like, why the fuck?
I got some thoughts about this one. So, I don't know if this was on the where you got the information from, but yeah. So with the soundtrack of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, there are some songs in that original game that fans have theorized for years must have had Michael Jackson's involvement because of the way they sound. They were very much of his style back of that era. But Sega had never officially confirmed that he was involved with the project. And I think there was some, the controversy trademark at the time was, basically had them take his name off of it. But for years, that was just what people thought, that the controversy is why his name got scrapped from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and what have you. So here we are, almost 30 years later. Sonic Origins is out on all platforms, and all the songs that sounded like they would belong to Michael Jackson have been removed from the game and have been replaced by songs that were in the PC version of the game instead, as fans call the prototype soundtrack. And then Yuji Naka, former man behind the Sonic series, who has since left this company and, was recently involved with the whole Ballad Wonderworld thing, just casually tweeted that, oh wow, they removed the Michael Jackson songs. Just casually in a tweet. So for 30 years of fan speculation, just revealed casually in a tweet. And people were just like freaking out about it, basically, that, it's confirmed Michael Jackson was involved with the soundtrack of Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
You said 30 years?
Yeah.
This is so funny. Y'all been holding on to that for 30 years? I am here for it, honestly. That is great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, if you were old enough to play this game 30 years ago and recognize that it might be, like, Sonic music, do you know how old you have to be right now for this to be, like, a mind blower? You have to at least be like. Never mind. This is unnecessary.
To be clear, I only know this story just because it's just something that's been murmured among gamers for years. My first time playing Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was actually on Origins. I had played 1 and 2 and CD before, but I've never played 3. So this was like kind of like I still haven't even heard these Michael Jackson songs yet. I gotta like listen to them independently because obviously they're not in Origins, so I gotta just hear them independently. See if they really do have that feel to them, but yeah.
Shout out to you and your Sonic shirt today, though.
Oh yeah, I knew we had some Sonic stories to talk about on the podcast, so I was like, let me put on this shirt.
So I'm gonna move on to something else. Overwatch 2. I know we talked about it a little bit last week, and I asked you guys like whether you would play if it was free to play, and that's a whole nother conversation. But this one, even if you don't play Overwatch, I do want you guys' opinions on it because it was recently revealed that Overwatch 2 will fully replace the original Overwatch at launch, meaning that the original game will no longer be playable from October. Because that's when the beta's out right now, but the actual game comes out in October. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because don't know if anyone had paid attention to this on the podcast here, but Gabe might know, but he's not here. When they originally announced Overwatch 2, they said that the game would be playable alongside Overwatch, the original. And it would be cross-play. And people who wanted to continue to play Overwatch as it was, could do so. Anyone who wanted more of the PvE, the 5v5,
Yes,
because
I do remember
Overwatch
you saying
itself
that.
is
Yeah.
6v6. Overwatch itself is 6v6. Overwatch 2 is 5v5. And so they were going to be played alongside one another. And now, a couple of months before its release, everyone just finds out, just kidding, we're actually getting rid of the original Overwatch and replacing everything about it with Overwatch 2, and the original Overwatch will no longer be accessible come October. It doesn't matter whether you buy the new one or not, but the new one is free to play. So, like, you just have to, if you want to keep playing, you have to upgrade. However, that upgrade also means that you're not going to be playing the game in the same way, because the original Overwatch is 6v6, right? So you have 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS, or, a combination of that. The new Overwatch is 5v5, which only includes, as far as I'm aware, 1 tank and then a different type of makeup. And they're also changing, because of this new 5v5, they're also changing a lot of how some abilities work for certain characters. So imagine having played, Overwatch for years, still playing Overwatch in Overwatch League, obsessed with it, enjoying it, and then finding out, oh shit, you're going to a 5v5 and like your character is changing. And everything is changing, and you have no choice but to be upgraded for free, at least. But like the old server is just no longer working. And I'm going to read a little bit from this IGN article. It says, when the sequel was originally announced back in August last year, Blizzard claimed that Overwatch and Overwatch 2 players would be able to play side by side when playing the same game modes. The original plan allowed Overwatch players to play on the brand new Overwatch 2 maps and as the new heroes. Then, game director Jeff Kaplan, who left, said it was a shared multiplayer environment where no one gets left behind. In other words, multiplayer PvP would have been possible across the 2 titles. Now it looks as though Overwatch will, in fact, be left behind. It's likely that Overwatch will essentially become Overwatch 2, which is already planned to retain old legacy content while adding new maps and systems. The fact that Overwatch 2 will be free to play means that this should be an easy enough transition. So they are adding that legacy content over to Overwatch 2, so you're still getting the old maps that you know and love. You're still getting the characters, but updated models, versions, and abilities. But like, just in general, if you were playing a game, a sequel's coming out, you think that you can, continue, because I was one of the people that was planning on just continuing playing the regular Overwatch if I ever did get back into it. And then you find out that, just kidding, like, the new one and all of its changes are replacing the old one, and the company essentially lied to you. How would you feel about it? And I say it that way specifically because if it was a normal progression and they had said, Overwatch 2 is going to become the new Overwatch originally, like if that was the plan from the beginning, I wouldn't feel so slighted about this as I feel like some other people do. But the way that it's kind of transitioned, like the game director of the past said, yeah, they're both going to be playing, and now the new game director, they have a new, new game director, new situation. They're like, nah, we're scrapping the old and end with the new. How would you feel about this? Like, how are gamers supposed to react to something like this?
Yeah, the last minute change definitely feels very underhanded. But I have to ask though, what's obviously they came out last minute and said this, but like, what's changed? Do you think in terms of like what happened there? Because okay, to my understanding, obviously I don't follow Overwatch heavily, but based on what I've been hearing about Overwatch 2 and then the whole thing that Overwatch 1 is getting essentially delisted, is that Overwatch 2 is ostensibly like essentially like a massive update for the existing Overwatch game. At least that's how I understood it. So when I heard that, like, I could, until you reminded me about the fact that they were said that 1 and 2 players would be able to play together, I had thought that was just always a plan, and that the idea that Overwatch original getting delisted wasn't as bad an idea because of 2 essentially just being an upgrade to Overwatch 1, essentially. But now that you're saying that Overwatch 1 did have like a slightly structure in terms of like having 6v6 as opposed to the 6v6 as opposed to the 5v5, and that the original one is getting delisted, I mean, that alone, the fact that there's a different structure that's just getting eliminated, I don't think that's very good just for those who just prefer that kind of mode, or just the game preservation argument is to be said as well. So I disagree with it on that regard. And then, of course, yeah, obviously, if you're being told one thing and then, like, last minute, just kidding, it's gone. Yeah, no, that would... So, as far as I'm concerned, they got 2 strikes against them for those 2 things. It sucks. It does. I feel if you're someone like Dro, I guess, who really wanted to keep playing Overwatch 1 and knew that you would be able to continue playing alongside your fellow 2 players, and now that you can't, I mean, that sucks. There's no other way to say it.
Kelly, have you played Overwatch?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Kelly can also answer your question a little bit too, but I think the biggest change is not allowing for the classic 6v6 play. Yeah, because a lot of people have, Overwatch was unique when it came out. Mm-hmm. It was the only game that did what it did as well as it did, because the other one that did do that came out at the same time is kind of we don't talk about it anymore. So much so that
was that Battleborn?
Yes, it was Battleborn. Okay, yes.
The most sent out to die game I've heard in a while.
And Overwatch did not require you to be good at FPS, right? You could be a part of a team. I am not the best shooter, but I will go in there and be like a tank-ass Reinhardt and shield my team all fucking day. Or I will heal from the back end all fucking day. You don't have to be a good shooter to play Overwatch. And there were years worth of balances that made things work. But then I saw, today, one of the tanks, Orisa, she has a shield. There's 2 or 3, maybe 3 tanks, I think, in the game, I can't remember specifically, that have shields. And they were talking about, with this new makeup, what if she doesn't have a shield? And I'm her whole thing is, that she has a shield. Some of them, specifically when you're picking tanks, there's a tank that doesn't have a shield at all, that does some regen. She was one of the the shields that had a tank, so it's reworking. I can only imagine playing this character for years and then having them completely reworked from the ground up to fit your new model that I didn't ask for, just to make it more of a in that instance, for example, Orisa's kind of a character that does shoot, but she also has a shield, right? So if I was a person who sucks at shooting, but I used her for shields and grouping people together, etc., and then they take away the one thing that I'm good at with her, now I gotta go find somebody else to do it on. Yeah, I think that to answer your question, I do think just the biggest thing is the change of modes and the change of even the aesthetic, right? The character designs are getting updated, which is inevitable. So that's not a big deal. But I think the core of the game is changing. And I guess the best way I can describe it is kind of just summarize all the things I've said again, so I'm not repeating myself. But yeah, I think it's just I haven't played Overwatch 2. I'm not doing the beta because I'm not paying them. But yeah, I mean, Kelly, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add about the different, or from your experience of playing Overwatch.
I mean, I wasn't super into Overwatch. I mean, I put a lot of hours into Overwatch, but I wasn't I don't even think I ever broke silver rank, but I think that the biggest thing here is that they kind of have changed what they were going to do, because I don't think it's necessarily bad for them to replace the original with the new one. As a matter of fact, I kind of like that. Sometimes whenever the fan base is too spread out or something, I guess if they were crossplay, they wouldn't really matter. But I like for everyone to be playing the same game. I'm just I don't know. I have a compulsive thing with things matching. Anyways, so I think that they would be cool for them to replace the game, but they're changing the modes. And it is a new game, but they should have just been upfront with that in the beginning. They should have just said this is a possibility, not just, oh, you're still going to have your original game. I mean, it would make sense to replace the original because of server space. And just, I mean, the maintenance on 2 games, it makes sense to replace it, but don't act like you're not going to do that and then do that. That's no, that's all I got.
I don't know if it had to do with getting a new game director, right? I don't know if Jeff Kaplan had that plan, and then when he left, plans changed. Mm-hmm. Overwatch 2, when they showed it off, was way more about PvE and story content. The original Overwatch is literally you and some friends jumping in there and pushing the payload. And so it was catered as a very different game, which is why I was well, I don't need any of this because I don't care to play this solo experience. I don't want to pay extra money to do something like that when I'm happy with what I have here. And now forcing that on people. Essentially, a lot of people feel like this Overwatch 2 is basically Overwatch becoming more like Apex or Valorant. Like, it's losing the Overwatch feel and becoming another one of those types of free-to-play titles that are already out there that is not going to be differentiated from anything else. And I think that's a valid concern. Just with some of the changes, I'm like, yeah, this totally just sounds like Apex Legends now. Like, yeah. Let's move on to Bungie, because they are hitting a YouTuber with a $7.6 million lawsuit for a fake DMCA claim. You know, when you hit people with like $7.6 million lawsuits, like you obviously know.
Yeah, like before you even continue, it's like I feel like sometimes like. Well, I'm not even like talking about whether it was warranted or not because I don't know the full story. All I'm saying is like I sometimes feel like the corporations just forget that they're just like suing individuals. like yeah, you got them war coffers and you just like hit these like individuals that don't have those business war coffers with this money. I'm like, what are they gonna do?
Well, I'll tell you what they did, and maybe you will actually agree with Bungie once you. No.
I'm just saying. This is guy's probably in the wrong. Like before you even talk your story, I'm just saying. Just like this, is like the second in recent memory story you told me of this individual just getting like just like a meteor falling upon them.
Yeah. Like, oh god, what was that story? And it was like, you know, like it's gonna fall onto his ancestors because he clearly can't pay it off. God, I can't remember what that story was.
Yeah,
what a shame.
Continue. Tell me why this guy actually deserves this.
All right. So Bungie is suing a Destiny 2 YouTuber who allegedly struck back a DMCA takedown leveled on his account by filing false DMCA claims on Bungie's behalf against other streamers and the studio itself. Bungie's lawsuit filed in federal court on Wednesday seeks at least $7.6 million in damages. The complaint alleges that Nicholas Miner, who broadcasted under the handle Lord Nazo, created 2 fake Gmail addresses impersonating staff of Siege CSC Global, which is a copyright management firm representing Bungie. The lawsuit says Lord Nazo used those addresses in February to send YouTube 96 takedown demands, citing the 1998 Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So to break that down a little bit, this guy made 2 Gmail accounts, pretended to be Bungie's legal team, sent YouTube 96 demands to take down different content across YouTube from other YouTube users who uploaded content for Destiny. On Bungie. The takedowns involved videos posted by YouTubers My Name is Biff, who has 974,000 subscribers, Aztec Cross, who has 615,000 subscribers, and Bungie's own YouTube account. Which, like, man. This should have been a giveaway right there.
Yeah,
like your legal team is asking you to.
There's a very off chance he might have gotten away with it if he didn't hit that last one.
Yeah. Miner's attack sent shockwaves through the Destiny community. The complaint said content creators described the chilling effect the false takedowns had on their own work, saying, "I'm scared to make new Destiny videos, let alone keep up the ones I've already made up." Under the DMCA, companies such as YouTube are obligated to remove user-published content that infringes a copyright held by another. Such a broad mandate has enabled abuse of the statute's provisions, with some filing DMCA declarations to YouTube and elsewhere to thwart business rivals or social media adversaries. Bungie's complaint alleges that Miner exploited the hole in YouTube's DMCA process security that allows anyone at all to claim to be representing a rights holder for purpose of issuing a takedown with no real safeguard against fraud. Yeah, and then Bungie did send out a tweet that said we are not, that is aware of the copyright takedown demands, and said they are not being taken at the request of Bungie or our partners. And that was just, they wanted to let everyone know, okay, it's not us. We're having an issue here. In the easiest layman's terms of this, the guy made 2 Gmail addresses, pretended to be representative of Bungie's legal team, requested that 96 people get their videos taken down, scared a bunch of people, including the Bungie Destiny's YouTube. Bungie found out, said, hey, this is not us. and now they're suing him for $7.6 million in a lawsuit to for damages, which I think is fair. But it's mostly to make an example of him because he was able to go in through a loophole that YouTube has that basically allows anyone to say that they're a representative of this company and go in and say, hey, take this down because this is a copyright claim. And he was able to do it. So yeah, that's that story. Now, how do you feel, Brandon?
Yeah.
Sorry. The 7.6 million. I'm so sorry. The 7.6 million is $150,000 for each of the 51 instances in which he allegedly infringed Bungie's registered copyrights.
That was gonna be my next question, actually. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. If it's incremental, like based on like, or incremental based on like how much he did, then yeah, you know, that's just how it is. Like the amount equal to the damage. So ain't no one told that man to go. To scare 96 people with his bullshit. So, you know, like you said, it's an example because that's some nefarious ass shit, and they need to like put that down.
It also, this article also says other parts of the suit seek unspecified actual and statutory damages to demonstrate that serious consequences await anyone else foolish enough to target Bungie's community for attack. Yeah. And this is just so I give the sources from Polygon, written by Owen S. Good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they do what they gotta do. He will suffer for his crimes.
There's like hit him with $150,000 for everyone, and then actually do, you know, some actual shit that we can actually hold him accountable for afterwards.
Right.
Which, like, what were you doing, sir? Did you want to be the only Bungie like YouTuber out there? Because you hit all these people with high subscriber counts, and you was just gonna upload your shit when theirs got taken down and hope for the best. Did it work, or did you just lose a lot of money?
He just lost a lot of money. He was hoping that his 49 views Destiny vid was just gonna get bumped up to like 500,000, and now he's just paying that money instead that he was gonna get from his extra subscribers, I guess.
Oh man! All right, so let's go ahead and move on a little bit. This one is interesting. It's titled, Aspire admits Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 is unbeatable on Switch, then make bizarre choice. This is written by Eric Halliday at Fansided. And it says, people have realized that since the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 re-release by Aspire came out on Switch, there's a wee bit of a problem. After a particular mid-game cutscene, the game crashes and shuts down. No exception, no way around it. Because of this, you can't beat the game. That's it. Period. End of. You just can't beat the game. After some prodding and presumably Aspire finally realizing Reddit exists, and they can only ignore it for so long, the developer admitted to the problem via response to one of their tweets. And they said, yes, we are aware, and our dev team is working on delivering the patch as soon as possible. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your patience in the meantime. This was not admitted on their main page, but rather a response buried within a separate tweet encouraging people to buy their re-release. They haven't gotten to the, as of this writing, which was on the 22nd, they haven't gotten to fix the problem. There has been no patch to fix the problem. They just They instead have now, as of this writing on the 22nd, put Knights of the Old Republic 2 on the sales page of the Nintendo Switch because they made it cheaper, because you can't finish the game. And this article says, quote, it's a shady tactic many developers have been using, as they know the sales tab is the most commonly viewed section of the Nintendo Switch's eShop. Now, there's no estimated date on when a patch is going to roll out and fix the issue so that the game is actually playable. And I'll leave it at that. So essentially, they know there's a problem. They have no timeline to fix this problem. And so they just decided to put the game on the sales tab so that more people can buy this game while it has a problem. But I think the biggest issue with this is that it literally is unplayable. Like, you're literally selling a game that is knowingly selling a game that's unplayable. Like, if you didn't know, fine. But you know, you've responded to people on Twitter about the fact that you know, you have no, like, message anywhere across your official socials about the fact that you know that it's an issue, and then you decide to put it on the sales tab to try to sell more copies. How are we feeling about this one?
I swear, Knights of the Republic 2 specifically has the worst luck of the two games. Like the first game, I have never heard any issues about it, but the second game, even going back to its original release on the PC and Xbox original, that game could be finished, but its ending was like really was not good. And the reason why the ending was not that good is because there's a lot of content that didn't get put into the game. I'm gonna get back into that in a second, but basically they were trying to rush the game out to be released before Revenge of the Sith to get like maximum sales, so a lot of content didn't make it in. And as a result, the ending is like not great of that game. And there's a few bugs in there that they patched later, but anyway. But with this release, when they announced that this was coming to Nintendo Switch, and they also announced that a few months later, remember that cut content? It's gonna get added to the game as free DLC. So what PC modders had done on that version for years was going to be finally officially released for the game and balanced, and that excited me greatly. But there's a little bit of twinge into that because I was just like, well, why didn't you just wait until that was ready before you released the game, period? Because I have not bought Knights Republic 2 because I'm waiting for that to come out because I don't want to play that game with its unfinished ending anymore. If a version of the game exists that's going to have the complete ending and other content that they didn't make it, I'm just going to play that. So with that being said, the fact that QA didn't catch the fact that the game literally cannot even be finished right now makes me think that another reason why they should have just waited for the cut content just come out. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the same way as me, even before hearing this news. They're like, oh, the cut content DLC's coming later? Well, then I'll buy the game then. So I'm not gonna when it comes out, so I can actually play the full game. Because I'll just get to the end and get disappointed again because I'm not seeing that stuff. To this day, I haven't played the cut content. I've only seen YouTube videos of it, but so I know it's good once the game is actually finished. But I just haven't played it myself, and I was looking forward to doing it. So I hope it's not as long as when that cut content that they have this fixed because having a game that you can't even finish at the moment is pretty bad. That's not good at all. And then putting on sale so it gets highlighted is even worse.
That's
I don't even know if I don't even know if I would have said it was like, let's say they hadn't put it on sale, they just left it on the shop. They didn't let's say they just didn't delist it like say they did for the GTA remaster or whatever. They just left it on there. That would suck, but whatever. The message out there, people can just not buy it if they don't want to. But yeah, like you said, the fact that they put it on sale so that just more people will view it and not realize that you can't even finish the game right now. Yeah, no, that's messed up. That's messed up. The original issues with Knights Republic 2, that wasn't their fault. Like Lucasfilm forced them to rush that game out the door. They literally couldn't finish it. And now you have the chance to do it right, and you're kind of just that's an oversight that's a little tough to ignore.
Yeah, it's very hard because I wouldn't feel as bad for them if they had a message up saying we are aware that there is a problem. We're not taking the game down. You can still purchase it. The problem will be solved, right? Mm-hmm. Allow the consumer to make that decision on their own. But to not say anything about it. And then,
have the response be married? Yeah, that's a bad one. That's a bad one.
No bueno.
It's a shame. Because I would love more people to play this game. It's a good game, but this is some bad will for sure.
Anything on this one, Kelly? Kelly's like, no. Well, do you think it was a bad idea by the company?
I have no idea.
Fair enough. All right, I'll just move on then. Brandon. You tell me about Klonoa.
Yes, of course. No, I remember how it went. So basically, actually no, let me actually pull the tweet just so I can do the exact phrasing here. Give me a quick second. Okay, so according to a tweet by Go Nintendo tweet, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series producer says the game's success could lead to Klonoa IP expansion. So I kind of wanted to use that as a jumping off point to discuss something that I've just been kind of thinking about for a while. It kind of tangentially relates to Klonoa, but it relates to something kind of on a bigger scale in the game industry. And that's the notion of we're going to put this game out as a test to see if more people want more of this, right? So in this case, since they bring up Klonoa, I'll use it as an example. Klonoa is a very niche series. Those who have played it speak very highly about it. The problem is there's just not enough of those people. So that's I would define that as like a niche series. You know, it came out on the PlayStation, died for a while. Bandai Namco put out a Wii remake of the original, sold terribly, and so the series died for a few years. And this is basically their second attempt, where they're re-releasing the first two to see if it can survive. Now, so a lot of people are not happy about the fact that they made that message because, like, why does the sales success of the future depend on this game? And on one hand, I get it. It sucks that a remake essentially of previously released games is what hinges upon whether or not you get the future or not. But at the same time, these game companies are businesses, and you know it's one thing to like espout how much you love a game and how great it is, but if the sales aren't there, then it's just not profitable for them to do it. There's a lot of like niche ass series that people would love to come back. Like people like, "Where's Earthbound? Where's Star Fox?" Well, when they come out, y'all don't buy them. That's why. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like they're great games, but if you don't buy them, then like. Like people ask forever, when's new F-Zero coming out? Well, if one comes out, are you actually going to buy it? Like, do you actually care, or do you just want it to exist? Because Nintendo cares, because that's the money that they've been spending to make said game, you know? I'm not necessarily defending the company. I think these games should exist. I think the fans should be given a chance to, like, show that they want to support the games, but at the same time, you have to understand why it's happening this way. I think about Capcom's infamous Ultra Street Fighter 2 test they did when the Switch launched. You remember how when the Switch came out, they took Ultra Street Fighter 2, which is basically just an enhanced port of Street Fighter 2 on Switch, and sold that shit for $40?
No, I don't. And I love that you do, because I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, no, and that was Capcom's test to see if people wanted Capcom games on Switch. This $40 port of a game that came out in the early 90s is their test to see if people wanted games in Capcom. But here's the thing, too. As bad as the test as that was, it worked. It worked because people had the Switch launch hype. They wanted to be able to play Street Fighter on their new shiny Switch. So that game did so moderately well. And now we got Capcom games coming out, like the Devil May Cry re-releases, that are being charged for like basically full price for like individual instead of like a collection. So sometimes companies learn the wrong lesson from these things. And then
you don't think that would have been inevitable anyway?
Sure. No, that's entirely possible. I feel like it was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if Capcom's Ultra Street Fighter 2 bombed, it might have taken longer to get Capcom games on Switch, period. Eventually, I think they would have figured out that Switch is selling like hotcakes and people want games on there, but it probably would have taken longer because the Wii U burned people. Let's burn people. Let's put it out there. Like as much as a better concept the Switch was, a lot of companies were afraid to put full support behind this next Nintendo console, because they didn't want to get burned again. So it is understandable. It's just kind of disappointing. And sometimes, to give one more point before I pass the baton or move on, sometimes when the experiment fails, it's really bad. And usually the way when the experiment fails, it's really bad. How a company will determine if a game needs to succeed or move on, rather. They do it all kind of different ways. In this case, it's a remake of a previous game, essentially. Sometimes, in the case of Chibi Robo, a very infamous example, that's also a very niche series that a lot of people haven't played. The most recent game was Chibi Robo Ziplash on the 3DS. And that was a bland 2D platformer, which doesn't play at all like previous Chibi Robo games. And Nintendo said if this didn't sell well, we ain't doing no more Chibi Robo, basically. And guess what? Not only did people who never played Chibi Robo care about it because it was a bland 2D platformer, but the fans didn't even buy it because it wasn't what Chibi Robo was. So guess what? That series is dead again. And that's not their fault. They were given a product they didn't want to sell, but that was Nintendo's test for Chibi Robo, and it flunked. So, yeah, I think to summarize everything, it annoys me when these tests have to happen, that people have to be like, all right, you want but I get it. It makes sense. Like the series, they need to sell to exist. Like, if people are like, if you're listening to this podcast and you're pushing for this series to come back, and you actually will buy those games, or you have bought a game that needed your sales to succeed, I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to people out there. I'm talking to people out there who says, yeah, bring back F-Zero. It came back, nice.
And they're
gonna play something else. That's all I'm saying.
What do you expect? If you want your game to get a revival, you gotta kinda pay.
Yeah, you
make
gotta
the game.
you gotta vote your wallet. I put a tweet out earlier today where I retweeted this tweet that I put here for the podcast, saying that like I'm not surprised. Like Klonoa's been dead,
Yeah.
so they're testing the waters with the remake of the first two games, which the second one being re-released is a huge deal because that's never been re-released before. And I even put on the tweet saying, hey, if you want this series, if you've been complaining that Klonoa doesn't exist, vote with your wallet. If you don't care, then you don't care. But if you do care, you got to show them that you do.
Yeah, but then it's also, you got to convince all your friends to go buy it too.
That is true. Like that's the other problem. Like if it even if every Klonoa fan that really love the game does buy it, now we're gonna find out if that's enough. Like I said it earlier, it's like
oh my god, that's so devastating.
Like
imagine if every Klonoa fan and there's 15 of them.
Yeah, there are dozens of us, dozens.
And that's it. Y'all not getting.
That's what I said. But that's what I said right at the beginning. I'm like, the people that have played Klonoa love it, but there just wasn't enough of them. Like if that amount doesn't grow, then there's not. Then even if all of them buy it, it's not going to change anything.
Yep.
So we're gonna see. I'll buy it because I've always been interested in trying out Klonoa because I hear nothing but great things about it.
I mean, I've heard the same.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, since we're speaking about people losing money. Possibly losing money. The Pokemon Go devs have canceled their Transformers game and 3 other games, and they've laid off as many as 90. Niantic's CEO reportedly says the company is facing a time of economic turmoil, and they're looking to cut costs. This is written by Eddie Macu for GameSpot.com. Yeah, the developer is cutting jobs, and they've canceled 4 games, including a Transformers title, according to a report from Bloomberg that has been confirmed in part by the developer itself. There's a memo from Niantic CEO John Hank, who reportedly said that the company was facing a time of economic turmoil and was looking to cut costs in a variety of areas. He said that they've planned to further streamline the company's operations to help weather any economic storm that may come in the future. Some economists believe the United States is headed for a recession, with layoffs expected at a wide variety of companies in the future. According to Bloomberg, Niantic is cutting between 85 and 90 jobs. That is a lot of people that would be out of jobs. As for the reportedly canceled games, Bloomberg said its Transformers game, Heavy Metal, will no longer see release, while the Hamlet game from Niantic and Punch Drunk is also not going forward. The other 2 games that were canceled were new titles called Blue Sky and Snowball. No details about these reported games have been disclosed. While Pokemon Go was a massive success for Niantic, its follow-up games, including, which I've forgotten was a thing, Harry Potter Wizards Unite, and
that was a thing.
Pikmin Bloom, did not find a big audience like Pokemon Go did. Wizards Unite shut down earlier this year. That's apparently why we all forgot about it, because it shut down.
Damn. Pikmin, I love Pikmin Bloom, but it may be on its way out too. Like I don't hear anyone talking about it. I got free stuff from Niantic, so I'm good.
Spokesperson for Niantic confirmed it canceled some projects, but did not name them outright. The spokesperson also said that it's about 8% of its staff to focus. It laid off, 8% of its staff to focus on key priorities. Yeah, this news comes just after Niantic announced a partnership with the NBA for a new AR title called NBA All World. So, yeah. Is this surprising to anyone?
Well...
Kelly, you gotta say it. They can't see you.
Well, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of posting, on Twitter, a lot of people are talking about getting laid off and stuff. Even not in gaming, but in tech and stuff too. There was people, I think it was Coinbase. These people had left jobs at Google and other huge tech companies, come work there, and they rescinded their offers because obviously the cryptocurrency has been pretty volatile, So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this. I mean, to be honest, I've been a little bit worried. I mean, I work for a tech company, I mean, it's concerning. And I think that gaming is not necessarily it's more like a luxury item, to be honest, which I hate to say, because without it, I mean, I don't want to live. But I think that I think that it's one of those things that we will see people getting laid off and stuff, and it's really sad. And I don't know if there's anything that can really be done. Like, I think we are probably headed for a recession. I just bought a house. Yay! Like, wonderful. I just put a new roof on it. Yay! Like, I don't know. I think we're going to see more of this. I don't think that this is surprising at all. It's concerning, but it's not surprising.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Niantic specifically. That's not being surprising for Niantic, because I feel like every time that we talk about them or I see them, it's always people complaining about what they've done to Pokemon Go. It's never like we're happy with the game and its direction. It's always like, please fix this. You guys have ruined this. Especially after the pandemic happened, and then they changed it so that people didn't have to go outside, and then they tried to take it back to like people having to go outside, but then people were like, well, no, like I still am not comfortable with going outside, or the way that this is structured works better for me, and it kind of, I can understand that it might have ruined what they were going for, which is obviously getting people to get up and go outside and walk and exercise, etc. But, the pandemic really fucked with Pokemon Go, which was obviously their big success. And they haven't really been able to get things back on track since then. Like I mentioned, everything I've seen about Niantic has been just negative. People complaining about the direction that the game is going, why it's not working, why they're not happy with it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it is a lot of people. I'm not surprised that Niantic is going through this. However, that is a lot of people, 80 to 90 people just losing jobs. Like, that is a lot of people at a company. That sucks. Brandon, did you have something to say on this one?
Not too much that hasn't already been said, but I will posit this. Niantic was making a Transformers game?
Apparently!
What was that going to be like? You go next to a vehicle in the game, and then it just turns into a Transformer that you can capture? Like, I want to know what that concept was. I just want to know what was that game going to be. I don't know if I'd play it, which may be sentiment shared by many. I just want to know what that game would have been, because they're doing what I feel like Square Enix is doing, was doing, that I've complained about, which is like they're just literally producing anything now just to see what sticks. Like Niantic is also doing that. Like after Pokemon, weren't they also? Was it Niantic that was making that weird new one that was like not Pokemon that Kelly thought the little thingies were cute for?
I don't remember the name of it.
I don't think that was them. I think that was a competitor.
I thought it was Niantic making their own version.
Wait, I mean, no, you might be right. Actually, now that you say Niantic making their own, that they wouldn't have to use Pokemon.
I thought it was something like that.
I wonder if that's still happening as well. Not sure.
I mean, either way, I feel like they were just like, all right, we were so successful with Pokemon, just give us all the franchises, and they grabbed Harry Potter.
Pokemon made them a zillion bucks, so they thought they could just do anything with that same concept.
And it's not working. Not
realizing that Pokemon was unique. Pokemon uniquely had a very unique benefit to with that concept. It's something that people have always wanted, to go out in the river and find Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So that was all for Pokemon. I think that was always going to work, especially since it's already a big successful franchise. So it just doesn't work with everything. You can't just plug in franchise and it's automatically going to work. Even as someone that plays Pikmin Bloom to this day, I don't even think that was like necessarily a natural transition.
Not at all.
At all.
It was very random.
It was very random. Only reason I play it is because it doesn't ask a lot of you. Like, you basically walk and you just get stuff, and then you can interact with it. And I walk a lot of my job. If I didn't walk a lot of my job, I probably wouldn't be playing it either. Like, like Grayson played it like the first few weeks, and I told him, like, if you're not someone who already walks, that game is not going to convince you to do so. You have to already be doing it, and it is what it is. Pokemon Go is rightfully their only success, and I hope the best for the employees that work at Niantic, but man, if Pokemon Go is all they got, they may have some issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you get successful, and then you just pull any franchise with a big license, and then you hire all these people, and now you're like...
That was unfortunately happening for a little bit for Platinum Games, if I remember too. They were getting,
because they was also making a bunch of bullshit, like another company.
That's exactly what happened. They got some big success with like Bayonetta and and Nier Automata, and so people just wanted them for anything. And that's only partially their fault because, you know, even though they make high quality games, they're a relatively small developer. So to stay in business, they had to pretty much accept these like licensed project, like the Transformers game or the Ninja Turtles games or that Legend of Korra game that they made of varying quality. And it's like you said, they just made whatever, and they had to pay the bill somehow. Like, even if those games weren't the best, they sold at least decent enough to like make them some money. So
I mean, yeah, because of the licensing, but also you got to think of your company and its reputation.
You do, and that's why it's been a lot less lately. That was something that was happening like early in like the early tens, like from like 2012, 2015. That's was all that was coming out. It's just like Platinum just putting out whatever. Now it's kind of slowed down a little bit, and then, you know, it's more quality stuff. Barring Babylon's Fall, but you know.
Anyway, like I don't even. Anyway, because I don't even want to get into the disappointment and hatred I have for that game. Speaking of the early 2000s, no, it's not the early 2000s. It's 2020. Nintendo says that they are having, they're going to increase their security after a giga leak. After a staggering number of game design secrets and prototypes were leaked in 2020, Nintendo has invested in new layers, of security. So the PC and mobile games market in China is large, but dedicated games consoles are not so large, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa said. Together with Tencent, we want to continue to popularize them. We're working with experts on information leaks. We've also introduced information security management. The Nintendo Giga Leak saw staggering amount of content released online, including the legendary Zelda Ocarina of Time, Space World demo, the shocking reveal that Luigi was actually in Super Mario 64 the whole time, and a number of playable prototypes of famous games like Super Mario Kart and Yoshi's Island. Nintendo is also infamous for its litigation and takedowns related to its IPs, as recent stories have seen the software giant take aim at a YouTube channel for hosting soundtracks from its game, and issuing cease and desist notices to fan projects, and calling in its lawyers to cancel a themed tournament. Not even uploads of out-of-print strategy books are safe from Nintendo, as the company issued a takedown notice to an uploader who shared scans of the charming Super Mario 64 guide. But yeah, Nintendo's like, you know what? You guys are leaking our shit, we're gonna finally take it seriously, just like we take seriously people uploading old-ass magazines.
Oh my god, yeah. I was gonna say, like, when you introduced the story, I was like, yeah, you know, that Giga Leak was pretty damaging to the stuff you wanted to keep secret. Maybe you guys should invest some security to, you know, make sure there's not, like, a mega Giga Leak next year or something like that. But I feel like cracking down on someone who's just sharing images of your 96 Super Mario 64 guide might be just a step too far, you know?
They gotta get them all, Brandon.
I feel like, yeah, you gotta do your war stampede against sharing the things you don't want. But you might be going northwest when you should be going northeast. Is all I'm saying. You know, you probably you should have taken that left for Albuquerque, I'm thinking, Nintendo.
So I think on this podcast at some point I've mentioned that people have mentioned that Chris Pratt has been involved in some anti-LGBT situations. Mm-hmm. But I'm also pretty sure I mentioned I don't know what they are, so I don't want to talk about them because I didn't. However, Chris Pratt has something to say to all you people, and that is he is not a religious person. So in an interview. Excuse me. Chris Pratt in an interview has said that for some time, by the way, for some time now has been associated with the Hillsong Church, which is a megachurch known for its anti-LGBTQ views. In an interview with Men's Health recently claimed that he's never attended Hillsong and he doesn't know anyone who does. He says, religion has been oppressive as fuck for a long time. I didn't know that I would become the face of religion when I'm not really a religious person, Pratt said. I think there's a distinction between being religious, adhering to the customs created by man, oftentimes appropriating the awe reserved for who I believe is a very real God, and using it to control people, to take money from people, to abuse children, to steal land, to justify hatred, whatever it is. The evil that's in the heart of every single man has glommed onto the back of religion and come along for the ride. I never went to Hillsong. I've never actually been to Hillsong. I don't know anyone from that church, Pratt added. He said,
yeah.
fuck y'all. I believe in God. I don't believe in all the negative religious shit, which is why I don't feel like I'm religious. I don't know how I became the face of religion, and I've never been to this anti-LGBT church. Finally clearing it up.
It's funny because what I imagine happened just in my head is someone just made a tweet and it just took off because they wanted to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, he did in one of his acceptance speech, he said God is real and God loves you or something, which during your own acceptance speech, you're allowed to say what you want, you know? So he did, and I think that people just kind of took this anti-LGBT thing and ran with it. But I don't know. That's very shocking because now it's kind of like, because, okay, I used to love him in Parks and Rec. I think we talked about it last week, right? I used to love him, and he didn't seem like someone, he like would say like really inappropriate things. Like someone who was like super Christian would like not be saying these things. And also like, the character Star-Lord is like, I mean, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't really add up. Like his personality, what he like seems like in movies, I know that's separate from like his life, but like the movies that he does and the stuff, like I said, like Parks and Recreation before any of this, like it doesn't seem like a person who was super religious, like something they would do. Like you wouldn't accept these roles if you were super religious and it was like hindering your, you know, ability to do this. Like I said, people have crazy beliefs and still do stuff. It's acting, but it never really lined up with this personality for me. And so now hearing this, like I'm not necessarily like, oh, I love Chris Pratt. I'm not going that far, but like it does kind of make a lot of sense to me now. And like I just kind of heard what people were saying about him and was like, oh yeah, he's horrible, but like I never looked that up. Like, I never saw a photo of him at the church, you know, holding up a, you know, anti-LGBTQ sign or something. And, like, I just totally believed it. But he still got roles. It's not like it, even the rumors, like, didn't prohibit him from, like, getting acting gigs. So it's, like, good to know where you guys stand.
So there is a little bit more here that I'll share with you guys, because they did ask the why 3+ years wait for a clear statement. He said, I'm gonna like throw a church under the bus. If it's like the Westboro Baptist Church, that's different, Pratt said. Pratt did confirm to Men's Health, though, that he attends Zoe Church in Los Angeles. Zoe has remained relatively quiet on LGBTQ issues, but reportedly has ties to Hillsong, including listing Pastor Chad Veach as a contributor on the Hillsong website. So maybe there is that very loose connection that someone was able to go along with. And I do understand why it would take him this long to say something, because you don't want to be, I guess, you don't want to believe in God and be the person that's talking shit about a church, really, I guess. Yeah. But at the same time, like, fuck that church if, like, they're, like, anti-LGBT and I'm not. So, it is what it is.
So, let me just say this. This is kind of, like, going along with a lot of what Kelly said. Like, I'm not going to start saying I love Chris Pratt or whatever. But what he's saying is perfectly reasonable because... And I'm going to share something personal that I don't really like talk about. Is that... Wait, is everyone muted? Like, I was like seeing expressions. I was like, what's going on?
I'm sorry. It's because my cat just jumped on my PS5 and it was like shaking, like in the background. Yes, and I was like, oh my god! And Kelly knew, so she was like, oh my god. I'm sorry. Yeah, please continue. I'm so sorry.
No, you're all good. Yeah. So this is something. So basically, is that I do personally believe in God, but I am also not very religious at all. I like haven't been, aside from weddings or funerals, I have not been to a church in like well over a decade. Like I do my own private worship when I feel like it. So I don't consider myself a religious person. I live my life. I try to be as good a person as possible with or without God, but I do believe in God. So him saying basically that he believes in God but is not religious, I get that. I have like, because I'm very much the same way. That's so it's very believable to me. And yeah, like you said, Dra, like you wouldn't want like it's a tough subject when you believe in God but don't like. I have a I don't have a very fondness for a lot of religions because I don't like what they espout. I don't like how they control people's lives. Certainly against what they do to the LGBT community. Like some of them, like some people use religion as like a crux for their bigotry, and I can't stand that whatsoever. I guess basically what I'm saying, Jarrell, is that Adelgar was right. The goddess is correct. The goddess is correct, but fuck the church.
Because Adelgard has been right this whole time, and that's all I'll say on that. For anyone who's played Fire Emblem Three Houses, you know why the fuck she's my favorite character. Fuck all you hoes who don't like Adelgard. I said it, but still listen to the podcast because I like your views. And you're good people. And so, oh, what time is it? Okay. I have 7 minutes left. I did want to talk about the Nintendo Direct a little bit.
We can just talk about our favorite stuff if we don't have time, because going through the whole thing.
Sure. Let's go ahead and do that.
Nice.
Kelly, did you see the Nintendo Direct? Okay, that's fine. It was a Nintendo Direct Mini. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't really know.
No, this is great. For anyone who didn't see the Nintendo Direct, you can go to hpcritical.com, and there's an article written by our wonderful Gabe, who's not here right now. And he will tell you the best games shown, and if you don't want to read it or you don't have time, you can head over to our YouTube or also on hpcritical.com, and you can hear Brandon and I tell you all the games on YouTube, the best games announced that Gabe has mentioned. We have a wonderful video on YouTube there, so you can just go listen if you don't want to watch it. And while you're there, there's another video that's there. I'm sorry, I'm just plugging. There's another video that's there. For those of you who have not read Kelly's Evil Dead review yet, you can go watch that shit. Read it while you watch it. Go to hpcritical.com. The video review is there. The article is there. Pop it up, watch it, read it together alongside each other, and it's gonna be great. And this is for anyone watching, this is Kelly's face as she realizes that the video is actually up because I did not tell her it was up yet. So yeah, there you go. And in the meantime, finish listening to Brandon tell you some of the best announcements, are his favorite announcements from the Nintendo Direct Mini.
Sweet, yeah. So, they started off with Monster Hunter Rise. I'm not much of a Monster Hunter guy, but I figured I should mention that regardless. The first hype announcement for me was the fact that Nier Automata is finally coming to Switch with the End of Yorha edition.
Finally? You were expecting it?
Yeah, kind of. Like, a lot of people...
The game is huge!
It is huge, and I'm very happy. I'm happy that it's coming to Switch and not a cloud version. That's great. It's probably not going to be the best running version. In fact, it's definitely not going to be the best running version. But hey, if you've been wanting to play some...
Why do you think that?
Because the Switch is not as powerful as like the PlayStation 4 or Xbox.
Okay, but Brandon, and the reason I asked this specifically earlier in chat was because that tweet said that docked, that game is going to play in 1080p.
That's right, it will, and that's very impressive.
1080p is the same shit that game plays on PS4.
But does it go at 60 FPS on PS4?
On the Switch version, it said that backgrounds are going to be 60 FPS and combat, I think, is going to be 30 FPS. So you might have a 30 FPS difference on combat, which is not that big of a difference, like on TV. So it's not even going to be bad, which is really shocking.
I'm just saying it's impressive that they got as much as they could with it, and that it's almost on parity with the other console version. I think that's really cool. So yeah, if you're getting the Switch version, you are not getting that watered down version like you get with other versions. This is actually a quality port, which is cool. Other thing is, I'm going to go them kind of quick so you can say yours. Super Bomberman R2. I had a lot of fun with the original Super Bomberman R and looking forward to R2. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is awesome. I'm going to get to that at some point, but I do got to play some of the other Mega Man games. Don't have to. It's a separate continuity, but I'd like to anyways. The more I thought about it, this is the announcement of Pac-Man World Repack. I was thinking to myself, this is the one game that I wish I was doing like a live reaction for, because I kind of popped off at Pac-Man World Repack.
Pac-Man! It's Pac-Man!
Like, I grew up with that game on the PS1 when I was a little kid, and so seeing that game get remade, and they had music from the original game for that trailer, like, nostalgia just hit me like a freaking tsunami. It was, like, crazy. I can't wait to give that game another go. Hopefully with some improvements, because even as a kid, I liked that game, but it was a little rough, so hopefully they improve on it a little bit. Live Alive, I'm very extremely hyped for Live, and they still announced that a demo was coming out that same day, which we have already streamed on here on Twitch. So you guys can check out the highlights if you want to see that. We might have some video stuff that too on soon on HP Critical. But yeah, very excited for that game. You can play a little bit of 3 of the stories of the 7 characters, and then transfer your demo progress to the full game, which is what I'm going to do. It has been interesting so far. Live is cool. Dragon Quest Treasures looks interesting. I'm gonna check out Portal Companion Collection. I've never owned Portal, so I'd love to play it so I can actually finish it. Harvestella looks good, even though I'm not personally into farming sims, but there's enough else going on that I might give it a try. Hopefully that gets a demo. And yeah, Persona is finally coming to Switch, and I'm so happy. Persona 3, 4, and 5. 5 is coming out at the end of October 24th, and then 3 and 4 is coming out on sometime in 2023. I would love to give those games a try. I have finished Persona 5, so I'm probably not going to do it again on Switch, even if I support the release. But 3 and 4 I'll definitely play on Switch, because those are some long games. And they're both essentially portable games anyway. It's literally Persona 3 portable, so I feel like I have to play that on Switch. And then Persona 4 Golden was originally on Vita, so I'd love to play that on Switch as well. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Very happy those games.
Isn't it only on
Golden? Golden came to Steam last year.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Kelly stares and daggers Steam doesn't count.
No, I mean, as far as console, releases.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, it didn't come out. Console wise,
only play that on Vita.
Currently, yeah, but on sometime in 2023. All these games, by the way, are coming out everywhere. Basically, they were originally for PlayStation exclusive, but yeah, they're coming out Xbox, Switch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the ones I was interested in was Little Noah, Scion of Paradise. Looks super cute. And Live Alive maybe after I play the demo. Portal, which is great. If you have not played Portal, please go do so. I own it on Steam actually, but I still have not been invited to buy a Steam Deck, so here we are. Harvestella also looks super cute, so we'll see about that one. And of course, I can finally play Persona 5 Royal on Switch. I've been waiting for a very long time to play Royal, because I'm trying to find time to have 100 hours to do so, because that game is 100 plus hours long. Kill me. I think the Switch is the best place to do it, and I'll maybe finally finish playing Nier on PlayStation, because I'm not starting over on Switch. But it's cool that it's coming to Switch.
Yes.
And with that, it is wrapping up at exactly that time.
Wow, we really did it.
An hour and a half with the HP Critical crew. It is probably going to be the best hour and a half of your week. And definitely, if it is not, I apologize. Tell me next week, and I'll make it up to you by doing something very nice, having another podcast.
Second time's the charm. If this one didn't work for you,
if it didn't do it for you this time, come back next week.
Sooner or later, you'll like us. Hee.
There you go. As mentioned, we've got some new content up on HPCritical.com. Please check out our video reviews, our impressions. There's a wonderful TMNT impressions video also on our YouTube as well. If you want to hear the beautiful dulcet tones of Kelly as she tells you about how awesome the gore is in Evil Dead, you can do that. If you want to hear Brandon talk about some awesome TMNT shit, and as he yells cowabunga directly into your brainwaves, you can also go do that.
Directly.
And if you want to read about all those things, you can also go do that on hpcritical.com.
It's funny. The last 3 videos that we have on HP Critical, if you didn't get enough of our wonderful voices on this podcast, literally our last
you can hear the 3 of us
are all
even
there.
More.
Kelly on Evil Dead, you and I, and the direct mini review, and me again in Cowabunga Collection. This is not Cowabunga Collection. That's a different game. Shadow's Revenge.
There you go. So if you haven't gotten enough of hearing us, you can hear us even more. And we'll appreciate it. And we love you guys. And goodbye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.